I know that I'm aware of how this makes me sound. This makes me sound like I'm elevating myself.
Yeah.
I'm not. When I recognize that they're regurgitating just the dogma of, like you said, this leftist religion,
Yeah.
and they're just regurgitating it without having actually thought through each piece and not having to answer the difficult questions. When somebody poses a question to them saying, what's your thoughts on this? Why does this not matter to you? And they just choose to ignore the question. When that kind of stuff happens, I have this great pity in me, and like I feel very sorry for somebody when I think, you are not a free thinker by any stretch of the imagination. You've been told that you have latched onto this higher level of virtue. You've been told that you're a victim and that everyone else is to blame, and you feel like you don't have to answer to anyone. You don't have to answer any difficult questions that somebody brings up. And if you don't have an answer, it's probably because that person's asking a dumb question anyway. When I see somebody living in this reality all the time, dude, I honestly, one of the reasons I stay around them is and I keep sewing into them is because I just have pity for them.
If you are pro-choice, you have an empathy problem. You do.
Yeah.
You have an empathy problem. And I know, like I said, that's probably, I wouldn't share it on my Facebook that I said that, but like I would never post that on Facebook, but that is so true of everybody I know that I know for a fact is pro-choice. There is a massive empathy problem, or they haven't thought about it, because I'm like, if that was your daughter or son, you would pick them every time. So be pro-life. Thank you.
I have said this before. I've heard in the pro-choice argument that no man can take away opportunities from me. I saw, it was at Elizabeth Banks. She was at some big rally, a pro-choice rally or some Women's Day rally. And she was talking about being pro-choice and how I think she, if I'm not mistaken, she had an abortion. And she talked about all the opportunities that she would have lost, would not have been able to pursue her acting career and all of this stuff if she were not able to get that abortion. And I'm sitting here going, you say that, but you took from that child every single opportunity they would ever have. The opportunity for life itself, you robbed them of that. You just snatched it away like it was nothing.
There's a little 3-year-old girl that would be running around right now that would be your world.
Yeah.
But because you haven't thought about it and you have an empathy problem, you have picked this route.
It is a narcissistic thing. It very much is, because she's like, all the opportunities that would rob me. Well, you mean it would have been more difficult for you to be an actress if you'd had to help raise a child into this world.
I'm going to say this. It's totally protecting the person, and I would never say who this was, but I dated a girl, and she had mentioned that like I said, I will never say who this is. I will never specify the timeline.
I wouldn't want you to.
No, but at some point we had talked about it, and she mentioned that she had one of those. We didn't date long enough for me to like really dig into that. But as soon as she told me that, and she was like, it was the choice I had to make. As soon as she said that, I was like, you're going to there's, I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know how you can love me or another person and do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can truly love,
and that's the thing. A lot of people are duped into the ideology that, I mean, they stopped calling it abortion. They're starting to call it not pregnancy prevention even, but it's something. It's some other, now there's some other term that's supposed to be even more socially acceptable, make it feel less appalling, because abortion has all these connotations with it.
This would make me sound high and mighty. I have screwed up in my life. Never raped anybody.
Yeah. And
I don't want to put these in the same category, so I don't want to do that. But like, I'm just saying the worst guy thing that you can do is probably take advantage of some girl and do whatever.
Yeah.
I never done that. Never convinced or whatever put forth an abortion. So I'm kind of like, what in your brain makes you think that like that's okay? And like, if we have kids together one day, we're going to have to talk about this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to explain why I am not cool with this. And you're like, no, it's no big deal. And I'm going to have to say, well, mommy has an empathy problem and doesn't know how to truly love someone. That's not going to work.
No.
That's not going to work.
And at the risk of me sounding terrible,
I'm just sounding all kinds of terrible.
yeah, the risk of me sounding terrible, to me, abortion and rape are very close. I'm just as offended by abortion as I am rape. In fact,
I don't disagree with you. I just didn't want to, but yeah, no, I mean,
I am just as offended by abortion as I am rape. The only difference is the one clearly a young expecting mother who is still a child. Say she's 14, 15, 16, she's still a child. She's not, and all of them, a lot of them, they're not 100% to blame because the media, the doctors, and everyone is trying to diminish. It's just a fetus. It has no feelings. It's not even blah, 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 all this stuff. They're trying to make it acceptable. It'd be no different to me if the media were trying to make rape acceptable. If they were saying, "Oh, it's not the guy's fault because they're raised in rape culture and they're raised to,"
if anyone could do it, the liberal media could.
But you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, it's not their fault that they treat people like that. Like if the media were like, it's not their fault that they treat women like this because they're told to do that their whole life. They just grew up with it. That's how it is. If they were trying to diminish, if doctors and the media were trying to diminish the impact of rape and saying that it's not the man's fault all that much. That's the only difference between the two, in my opinion. There are more people to blame for abortion than just the mother. I don't put all of the blame on the mother. I do put 100% of the blame of rape. I put that on the rapist. If you're out there abusing women and you're mistreating women or men for that matter, because there are some guys who get sexually abused by women and by guys. It's like if you are out there sexually abusing people or raping people, it's like that to me is vile and disgusting. I also think abortion is vile and disgusting. I think it's infanticide. I think it's baby murder. Call me whatever you want. I don't care.
Look, I understand being a 40-year-old mom and telling your kids, look, when I was 14, something awful happened and I did this.
Yeah.
I do not want to tell the story that I was in my 20s and your brother's not here. Sorry, he's
I don't
want
to tell the story.
I don't want to tell that to my kids.
Look, I had the choice of either being able to pursue an acting career or have a baby.
Yeah.
So I decided I put me first.
You were supposed to have another brother or sister. They're gone. They're not here.
Like I said, so the only difference, and I'll say this just in case I have to edit this a different way, but in my opinion, the only difference between rape and abortion is that you cannot lay the blame of all of the blame, 100% of the blame of abortion on the mother. You cannot. There are social elements. There are doctors and scientists and media that are diminishing abortion. They're calling it all these other things. They're trying to make it socially acceptable. It's written in law that it's socially acceptable. In my opinion, both abortion and rape are absolutely disgusting to me.
Let me bring it back to the left. Put on a mask. You are murdering people. Also, abortion is cool. Fine. Totally fine. I asked my friend, so we had a conversation. I asked my friend to explain that. She couldn't. She was like, she couldn't explain it.
Walk me through it. What'd you ask your friend to explain to you? You said that.
I said that, exactly.
The mask freakouts?
I said the mask freakout plus this, and she was like, well, because it's, and the other girl said this too. It's a woman's choice. I'm like, you haven't thought about it.
Yeah. Okay, explain to me how it makes logical sense. That
can't do it.
That a woman can choose to end a life, that a woman can choose to have an abortion, but a person cannot choose whether or not they should not be able to choose whether or not they wear a mask.
Or my thing was, you are morally virtuous.
You're morally virtuous if you're wearing a mask, but it's okay for you to get an abortion. As long as you wear your mask, you can get an abortion.
Move out of mommy's basement. That's not a joke.
I agree with you on that.
That's not a joke.
Dude, I'm like, get
some life perspective.
As long as you're wearing a mask, we're totally cool with you ending another human life if you wear your mask from your car into the abortion clinic while you're having the procedure, and then on the way back out.
Everybody freaking
And
out
wash your
about
hands afterwards.
everybody freaking about out about the mask, and you're killing lives. Guarantee you, all pro-choice. All find one that's pro-life, and I will give you my recording studio and all my film gear. You won't find it. You will not find it.
That's a good comments challenge. So comments challenge. If you are on the left, which you're probably not watching this podcast,
They hate us
if
now.
you're on the right, if you're a conservative and you know someone on the left that might take this challenge, share this video with them. My challenge for you is explain to me how you can freak out about the mask and say if you're not wearing a mask, you're killing people, you're a terrible, evil person, but then be totally okay with abortion. And to keep facts straight, since Roe v. Wade, over 62 million babies have been aborted, and the majority of them have been minorities.
And the only consistent point of where life begins is with the conception.
And here's something else. They
don't have facts on their side.
Here's something else for all of my Black Lives Matter people. If abortion had been stopped and if abortion were illegal since Roe v. Wade, the population of African Americans in the United States would be double what it is right now. You talk about representation and voting. You talk about all this stuff. Double the number of black people that would be in the United States. We would have double that number if abortion were illegal.
I am not telling my future son or daughter, you should have another brother or sister. Not doing it.
Oh my gosh. And listen, just to be clear, we have said over and over, we'll say it again. I do not believe that 100% of the responsibility of an abortion is on the mother.
No.
Absolutely not. They're being told so many things from media and from doctors that it's not all their fault. And here's the other thing. I don't find abortion an irredeemable thing.
Well, we're talking about I had an abortion. Screw you.
If you've had an abortion and you have that remorse, I'm a believer. God, Jesus, there is forgiveness, there is salvation for all of that, and there's acceptance. But if you are just calloused to this, you're like, I had an abortion. It's her choice.
That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about I had this and I regret it. Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're not going to find a more pro-life advocate than myself. I don't think than myself. And pro-life for me is womb to the tomb. I'm pro-life.
Good rhyme.
To end. Yeah. Right.
Turn or burn, baby.
Turn or burn, baby. I'm for pro-life in terms of ending abortion. I'm also pro-life for streamlining adoption, for raising funds for single mothers. These are the things that I'm for. Allocating a better allocation of funds. That's what I'm for. I think that's what everybody who's pro-life should be for. If your idea of pro-life stops after the baby's born, it's like, all right, good luck, 16-year-old girl trying to raise this kid. You need to grow up and get out of your parents' basement.
And if you don't agree with us, then, you probably voted for Joe Biden.